This video contains scenes depicting strobe lights and other flashing lights. Certain persons may be triggered. This video contains scenes depicting psychological torture. Continue at your own risk.
For some unknown reason.
Emergency R. Mr. Cameron, he's missing.
You're gonna hurt the way I hurt you. Heat, cold, blinding light.
I fed you false information because I knew that you had no guts, and that the enemy would rip it out of you.
On this episode of Old Joe's Reminiscence, a Korean War veteran kidnaps V.C.R. Cameron, who he blames for his capture and torture by the North Koreans. It's up to C.R. Grover to locate his missing boss. Burgess Meredith and Doug McClure star. I'm about to review episode 20 of my favorite show of the 1970s, Search. Episode 20 first aired on Wednesday, March 14th, 1973. There's a 1-week gap between episode 19 and this one because on March 7th, NBC showed a Bob Hope Mardi Gras special that featured Phil Harris, Al Hurt, and Pete Fountain. While I don't know if I'd have been interested in that special as a 14-year-old, especially since it preempted my favorite show, it sure sounds like something I'd be interested in today. But, on with Search. Note that there will be spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the episode, take some time now to do a quick look, if you can. Because if I spoil it for you, you may just have a moment of madness. Certain of the scenes in the teaser seemed very familiar, and it brought back some memories of seeing this episode. I may have mentioned on more than one occasion that I thought I'd remembered an episode that involved V.C.R. Cameron in some way. This must be the one I was thinking of. And without further ado, let's get right into the action. The episode opens with an exterior night scene of the World Security's headquarters building. A window cleaning platform is shown ascending the outside of the building. Oddly, the man operating that platform is wearing a ski mask. We cut to an interior shot of V.C.R. Cameron dictating orders to various probe agents.
Whitmore, you are ignoring the mother-daughter relationship in this case. Now, I suggest that you investigate this aspect of the situation further. For the mother, of course. The daughter has not yet reached the age of consent. You understand, Whitmore?
Cam is played by Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith, born November 16, 1907, was well known for his portrayal of the bookworm in the first season episode of The Twilight Zone titled Time Enough at Last. He is probably best known for portraying the Penguin in the 1960s Batman TV series, as well as the movie by the same name. He was active in the film industry for more than 6 decades before his death at age 89 on September 9, 1997.
It seemed odd that we only see those agents' faces in black and white stills, on Cam's monitor. Shouldn't he be seeing the video from their scanners? I guess they were trying to avoid shelling out money for 3 more actors at scale. But did they need 3? Come to think about it, why show that reverse angle at all? Just show Cam from the front. Maybe there's a reason. There usually is a reason for every word, action, or prop used in a film production. The guy in the ski mask enters the building through an emergency exit. He removes a wall panel for the elevator's call button, and he messes with some wiring. Then he forces the elevator doors open. He jumps out and slides down the shaft on the elevator car's support cables. When he pries open the doors and emerges from the elevator shaft, he appears to be in a basement. The walls are made of concrete blocks. He drops to the floor and starts crawling to avoid a sensor in the wall. Then he makes his way into the probe control command center, where he sneaks up behind Cameron and gives him a good hard karate chop. As Cam is losing consciousness, he instinctively presses a button that freezes the clock readout at 03:03:22. His assailant handcuffs Cam, puts tape over his mouth, and ties a blue handkerchief around Cam's head to cover his eyes. The camera pushes in on that time readout, 03:03:22. We cut to an exterior shot of Cam lying on the window cleaning platform as it descends the outside wall. The man carries the unconscious Cam to what appears from this distance to be an old yellow station wagon. He places him in the passenger seat. He must have hit Cam really hard, because usually people come to within a minute or two of getting that karate chop. Cam has been out for quite a while. As they drive away, we get a better look at the vehicle. To me, it looks to be a mid to late 1950s Ford Courier sedan delivery. Now, I would have called it a delivery wagon, but everything I've read about the vehicle during my research calls it a sedan delivery. And it looks as if the guy went all out by painting a window cleaning company's name on the side panels. Or does he actually work for, or maybe even own, a window cleaning company? He certainly knew how to operate that window cleaning platform, I'll give him that. As they're driving along, the camera keeps showing us close-ups of Cam's ear. Now, at first, I thought that maybe he had an implant, like his probe agents, and he was waiting for them to call him. But by the time they drove through the tunnel, I realized that those shots were there to inform us that Cam was concentrating on the sounds he was hearing, so he'd know where he was being taken. We hear crickets chirping and the crunch of gravel under the tires as the car pulls into a driveway. I want to give a shout out to the Foley artists. Practically everything we hear on TV or a film is placed there by the Foley department, and I don't think they get the credit that they really deserve. The man uses a huge remote control to open his garage door, and he parks the commercial vehicle inside. Then he leads Cam down some stairs to what seems to be a basement. He has an area with bars like a prison cell. He leads Cam to the cell and removes the handcuffs. After locking Cam in his cell, the man crosses the room to a desk where he speaks into a microphone.
Tape, off your mouth.
Cam slowly obliges. That looks painful. Next comes the blindfold.
Blindfold.
The man has a blinding bright light aimed at Cameron's face. Cam asks, "Who are you?" The man presses a button and solid walls fall into place inside the bars of Cam's cell. Then bright lights come on overhead. This guy has gone to great lengths and a lot of expense in his scheme to capture and torture Cam. We cut to Christopher Robin Grover getting a massage from a beautiful woman named Addie.
A little more vino or two, boo-boo.
They're enjoying a little vino and getting a little bit romantic when C.R. gets cock-blocked by the voice of Miss James in his ear.
Grover.
I read you. I write you. I'll write you.
You know, I'd like to put you in an envelope with an airmail stamp and fly you far away.
She's followed up by a call from Harris. It's an emergency. Cam is missing. We see that replacement Dr. Barnett, played by Keith Andes, hurry in looking a bit disheveled. He sits at the console and awaits Grover's attention.
Should I wait?
It's very unpredictable.
Grover tries not to appear too stupid as he tries to get rid of Addie, who's played by the lovely Lenore Kasdorf. She played small parts in numerous shows over the years, beginning in the 1970s and remaining active in the industry until about 9 or 10 years ago. C.R. Grover is played by Doug McClure.
Douglas McClure was born on May 11, 1935 in Glendale, California. The tall blonde had a lengthy career playing numerous roles in movies and television series, mostly westerns, beginning in 1956. He was battling lung cancer during the filming of his final film appearances, one of which was as a riverboat gambler in the 1994 western film Maverick.
We cut briefly to Cam in his cell with strobe lights going off above him. Then it's back to probe control where Grover's wearing some funky threads.
Make a note of the time of cutoff. Right.
His theory is that one of the 3 probe agents that Cam was talking to might have snapped, which explains why they featured so many agents at the start of the episode, just to muddy the waters a bit and give Grover more suspects to suspect. We see Cam resting quietly on the floor when bright lights snap on. There's some loud electronic music here. At first, I thought it was just background music for us. But, seeing how Cam is holding his ears, it must be what he's hearing in the cell. The walls go up. Just where do they go exactly? I wouldn't want to have those coming up in the middle of my living room. The 2 men talk, and Cam notes that his captor has been referring to him as Captain. Cam had trained a lot of soldiers in Korea. The man claims that Captain Cameron had made him special.
Special trainer.
The walls come back down and Cam now finds himself in a wind tunnel in addition to those flashing lights. This psychological torture continues. Act 2 begins with an exterior day establishing shot of World Security's headquarters. Some dude I've never seen before is watching a computer print out a list of probe control personnel. It shows Cam as the Omega, but surprisingly, it also lists Keach, Harding, Griffin, Lobos, and Kuroda. No James or Harris here. Those are some names we haven't heard in a few weeks. Or is it even months? Grover calls the man Mark. Now, there's no Mark listed in the credits, but there is a character named Callus, who's played by James Sicking. He tells Grover that he's got no leads whatsoever. There's no record of anything or anyone related to Cam, except for a contact in case of emergency, Virginia Carr.
You won't believe this, but Mr. Cameron's like the invisible man in our security computer bank. There's no information on him, no vital statistics. The only thing I could find out was in case of an accident or death, notify Virginia Carr, and I'm on my way to see her now.
Grover is on his way to see Miss Carr. He parks his yellow Vet in a red zone, right in front of a business with a double H emblem on the awnings. I think they used a real Hassie Hester interior design shop for that shot. Virginia Carr doesn't even look up when Grover enters the shop. After working for 35 years in retail, that struck me as rather odd.
Are you Virginia Carr?
I like to be called Jenny.
Ginny, as she likes to be called, claims that Cam is her uncle. Miss Carr is being played by Brooke Bundy.
Brooke Bundy was born in New York City on August 8, 1943. The petite beauty appeared in scores of bit parts on television in the 1960s through the 1980s. She played Rebecca North on 174 episodes of Days of Our Lives in the 1970s. But she is probably best known for her portrayal of Elaine Parker in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. She was last known to be an acting coach and manager. Brooke Bundy will turn 80 years old in August of this year.
Ginny has some family memorabilia stashed away in a barrel in a warehouse. She agrees to try digging it out. Meanwhile, Uncle Cam is still being subjected to psychological torture.
How many?
How many what?
How will they land?
Who, what?
Answer the question.
What question?
Will they come to land, sea, or air?
Who?
Answer the question.
What question?
Where will they land?
Who?
What's burned into my mind, Captain? You told me. Now answer. Answer!
In a memory flashback, Cam has a conversation with a superior officer, a General Hack, who's played by Frank Maxwell.
General Lieutenant Byron should not be in on the drop. He won't stand up against enemy interrogation if he's captured.
And program him with false information.
So, Cam does remember Lieutenant Ralph Byron, played by Patrick O'Neill.
Patrick O'Neill was born in Florida on September 26, 1927. He served in the Army Air Force in the latter days of World War II. He studied acting at the University of Florida before moving to New York. There he took the usual route of Broadway and live television in the 1950s. Then he was off to Hollywood. He appeared in a number of films in the 1960s, even playing the lead in a few films. Some of his most notable films were In Harm's Way, The Stepford Wives, The Way We Were, and Under Siege. He made numerous guest appearances on television between the 1960s and 1990s. Patrick O'Neill died on September 9, 1994.
Cam tries to explain what happened, and Byron has brief flashbacks of his own, in which he's being interrogated by a Korean soldier played by Soon Taek-oh.
Answer the question. How many? Where will they land? How will they come?
I know what you suffered.
Answer the question.
I'm going to bend your mind and twist it, Captain. I'm going to squeeze your brain dry until the juices run out.
Now how many? Where are they going to land? Answer the question. Will they come by land, sea, or air? Answer the question.
My name is V.C.R.
Cam only has to endure the strobe light. We get that, plus the camera repeatedly pushing in and out very quickly. This continues until Byron drops the walls to close the cage and the act. Act 3 begins with a man in a suit offering information about Cameron.
Now, in spite of the upfront fee I quoted to deliver everything you wanted on Cameron, things have changed.
He says some problems have arisen. The probe agent who was supplying the information has quit and fled the country.
No, she quit her job. Ill health, she told him.
Are they implying that the informant was Gloria Harding? Remember, we haven't seen her in weeks, and I've read some things that hint that Angel Tompkins didn't leave on good terms.
That takes a lot of money. And I had to give
Anyway, this suit is squeezing Byron for more money. 25 grand to be exact. The nameplate on the man's desk says that he's Timothy O'Toole, a private investments broker. He's being played by Jan Merlin, or is it Jan Merlin? I'm not sure. He's most notable for playing Lieutenant Kirby in The Rough Riders. Byron hangs up on him, but O'Toole has Byron's phone number. He calls World Securities and asks for Cameron.
World Securities.
Mr. Cameron.
Just a moment.
He offers to to sell the man's number to them.
All I have on this party is a telephone number, unlisted.
Call it a collector's item.
Meanwhile, Grover is with Ginny, going through Uncle Cam's keepsakes when he gets a call from Mark.
V.C.R, I just had a telephone call for Mr. Cameron. Timothy O'Toole. Private investments, he says. Room 808 Sunset Building.
Grover goes to the office of Timothy O'Toole. He's about to knock, but he decides to barge in unannounced.
Mr. O'Toole, I come on the behalf of Mr. Cameron.
O'Toole didn't even flinch, meaning he's gotta be dead. Grover makes his offer to O'Toole before he realizes what I'd already surmised.
This man is dead.
Can you fill us in?
I'll give you a look. Could have gotten a chop in the back of the neck, but there's no bruises. I haven't seen an execution like this since I left the Special Armed Forces.
Time of death fixed at 11:32.18 seconds a.m.
Well, you missed it by 10 minutes.
Amazingly, Miss James is able to estimate the time of death to the second. Wow. While Grover and the probe control team discuss the situation, Byron sneaks up on Grover and gives him one of those special karate chops. Miss James applies ESB, whatever that means. It seems to work like a defibrillator, and it jolts Grover back to consciousness.
Move it, C.R. Whoever hit you could have called the cops. Set you up for a frame to buy himself more time. And what we don't need now are delays or questions, so move it.
It seems that Byron had called the cops to make it appear as if Grover had killed O'Toole. He needs to hightail it out of there before the police arrive. Back at Probe Control, Grover shows them a photo of Captain V.C. Cameron and his men in Korea.
Oh, Mr. C was the big brainwash.
Yeah, now Mark, I want a total workup on every man in Hack's unit that Cameron trained and programmed. Bore record, date of discharge, and where they are today.
Cam's torture continues. Byron keeps grilling him. How many? Where will they land? Obviously, these are things that the Koreans had grilled Byron for. Cam breaks.
Inshot by sea. That wasn't the briefing. You programmed me for an airdrop. Inshot Marines by sea. Betrayed me, you lied. No, I tried to save you, Ralph. Save me? Dropping behind the lines with lies. I didn't want to drop you. I tried to save you. Well, they'll get you back. They'll get you back. I promise that. You won't have a mind left. You'll be a vegetable.
In Act 4, C.R. is going through the files of Cam's men who might be holding a grudge against him. Meanwhile, Cam is sharpening his belt buckle on the concrete floor. Everything Cam needs to put his plan in motion seems to be too easily accessible. So much so that I thought Byron might have set up a trap for Cam. But Cam proceeds to hook up a wire from an electrical outlet to the bars of his cell. Now all he has to do is goad Byron into touching those bars.
Why?
Because I knew that you would crack. I knew that you would talk. I used you.
Don't lie.
I fed you false information. Why?
Where will they land?
Because I knew that you had no guts. And that the enemy would rip it out.
How many?
Rip it out of me.
Don't lie.
Clay Mason. How are you? Somebody had no guts.
Where will they land?
Was a coward.
How will they come?
And a pigeon.
Answer the question.
And we used you. We used you. We used you. Kill you.
Cam yanks the wires, grabs the keys, and makes his escape while Byron twitches on the floor. Cam is wandering around outside when a police black and white finds him. We see Cam in a hospital room with Grover, Mark, and Ginny.
That was it.
I thought we were at the end of the episode, but Cam wants to be the one to bring Byron in. This is where those sounds we'd heard him listening to on the way to Byron's house come in. Led by a blindfolded Cam, Grover drives along the same route that Byron had taken.
Turn to the right.
When they pull into the gravel driveway, Grover tells Cam to stay in the car. Grover heads for the house, but he's caught in a trap that Byron had laid. Cam locks the car doors and rolls the windows up to keep Byron out. While Byron gets a rock to smash the glass, Grover gets loose and tackles Byron.
It's all over. You're not going to get hurt. The war is over.
When Cam tells Byron that the war is over, so is this episode of Search. This was one that I was waiting to see, if for no other reason than to validate that there was some tiny portion of Search left in some part of my adolescent memories. If you enjoyed this review, tap the like button, and be sure to check out all of my other Search reviews. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you smack the subscribe button. Just a few more episodes of Search remain, so I'm thinking about what to re-watch next. The Time Tunnel crossed my mind. I'd also thought of Canada's The Star Lost, a show I knew as The Ark when it appeared here in the US. I'm not sure, though. It was a bit campy, so much so that Harlan Ellison had his name removed from the production, opting to use his pseudonym Cordwainer Bird instead. There's another possibility. I'm leaning toward the British series UFO. I had re-watched it about 15 years ago, and I was shocked to discover that the Moonbase girls had purple hair. I had originally watched it on a 12-inch black and white television back in the 1970s. I might do a movie or two first, though. I did a complete workup of Dark Star months ago, but it was blocked. I edited it and retried, but it still got blocked over and over, which was discouraging because the entire film is available here on YouTube. Anyway, it's a decision I'll have to make in the next few weeks. So don't forget to activate the notification bell so you'll know when my future videos finally hit, whenever that may be. Until next time, save it!